A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, now without the expression. It's just hairy. The fan stands still. The lights are on. The lights are off again. The switch must be broken. The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting. But it's yours. You've earned it. The room behind your closed eyelids is familiar now. The only home you've ever known. Its darkness gathers. The last thing you hear is the wind blowing in through the broken window. Then something comes, a kind of sleep.
Like a deftly cast fishing net, sleep pulls you out of the world and into its dark shore. The rough mesh chafes. Tightening around you, it digs into your brain.
How have things been going for you out there? Helped anyone lately? Saved anyone lately? Murdered anyone lately? Because you know you are a murderer. A disco music listening psycho killer who offs poor people and then forgets about it.
Hear that? Iceman wants to sleep. He doesn't care about killing people. That's nothing to him. Black water under the bridge. The thing he's really scared of is much, much worse than that.
Don't tell him, sister. It's too bad.
They're right. This is their function. To keep you from it.
We're trying to help you. All these processes, these tortures, voices and tremors are all just distractions, flares and countermeasures to keep you from the last dream.
The last dream will be total annihilation. Cinders peeling off the fuselage. We won't be there to help you anymore, Harry. We will be dormant. You will be naked and alone.
In hell, an ancient sadness, brother. 10,000 years later, in front of the video rental.
Everything is so okay. Your eyelids flutter open for a moment. When you close them again, you sense the light of the room around you. You're back. In 2 seconds, the alarm will ring.
The last thought in your head before waking is, maybe you shouldn't have seen that stained glass window in the church. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, now without.
Yes? What?
Again? I can't believe this shit.
Hello, officer. What brings you up here again? I really don't know, sir. I certainly don't feel like I've won. I feel like shit, sir. All the time.
She smiles, a bitter little smile. She means it.
Clearly, I haven't. We're having this conversation, aren't we? How well could it have gone, I mean?
The wet wind, heavy with brine and industrial pollution from the stacks nearby, ruffles her hair.
I'm stuck in Martinez just like all of us. I've been up here for... I don't know how long now. I like to call this my rooftop containment facility. For my sins, of course. The long-standing sins of a bad, frivolous person. For destroying my first love. For working for bad people. The list goes on and on. Did I? Why do I still feel suspicion hanging over me then? What I managed was to get him killed. I understand that.
The lieutenant looks away, over the railing. He feels uncomfortable with this conversation. He doesn't know what to add.
I don't know what to say. None of this is fortuitous for me. The what? Oh, those ones. I don't know, sir. I said I have no idea what to make of them. Honestly, I think they're just trash. I mean, there's no reason for me to think they're somehow connected to her.
She nods, slowly, carefully even. There is suddenly a strange glint in her eyes. Not malicious, but dangerous.
Hi again, gendarme. Bye-bye, gendarme.
A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a thick layer of coal dust covered. This old fireplace is covered in a diagram for summoning some time-forgotten. The whole thing resembles Cadran mosaic tiles. Very pedantic. Your flashlight, some of the writing has faded.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die?
A gust of cold air sweeps through the chimney. The stones and minerals on the shelves rattle as though agitated. For a moment, it almost feels as though you're outside the building, exposed to the atmosphere.
Didn't we already talk about this? What are you talking about? My address is exactly the same. Rue de Saint-Guilain 10.
No, the old coal plant that used to be here was subsumed into the new venture. Its ruins swallowed up, yet it has a different address in the heart of the city.
This doesn't make any sense. Are you saying my business was spared because of a technicality? Where is this coming from? And what? Does it mean that I'm safe from failure?
Don't let her become complacent. She still needs to ward her soul against the evil forces.
Do you know what this is? It's a mourning ring. I made this when my first company failed. It was a small jewelry shop right here in the East Delta Commerce Center, built with the little I inherited from my parents. I drove it into the ground within a year. I didn't have what you would call a viable business plan. It wasn't just a jewelry shop either. I always thought that it was just the world that you were supposed to try again and again until you finally succeed. And now you're telling me what? That it was all because I didn't run my little shops and ventures from a dump inside an abandoned chimney? Yeah. Or maybe it's the entire world that's cursed. It's such a precarious place. Nothing ever works out the way you want it. That's why people like role-playing games. You can be whoever you want to be, you can try again. Still, there is something inherently violent even about dice rolls. It's like every time you cast a die, something disappears. Some alternative ending, or an entirely different world. But anyway, thanks for sharing your theories, officer. Of course, tell me what you have in mind. Ah, yes, Fortress Accident. It's too bad they never finished their game. The Wiro Untethered die is a variation of a standard role-playing die, only instead of plants it uses motifs of ice and death, and loss of course.
Ice, death, loss. Sounds like you.
I'm thinking something made from alligator jawbone, cast in black resin. The reptile bone is as white as ice and dead as, well, death. For 7 real, I could have it ready in 8 hours. It's an icosy tetrahedron, a 24-sided die that can produce results for 2-sided, 3-sided, 4-sided, 6-sided, and 12-sided die with a single roll. Technically, you can also use it for many other sizes, but you may need to untreated bone is porous and prone to chipping. Cast it in something hard like resin though, and voila, it's perfect. Great, see you in 8 hours then. Was there anything else?
The barbell waits patiently on the floor, like a dog for its mother. barbell waits patiently on the floor, like a dog for its master. Conjuring up an inhuman amount of strength, you raise the barbell up in the air. Your biceps tremble, but you're a savage. This is a children's game. A warm wave of accomplishment washes over your head as you drop the barbell to the floor. For a moment, it feels like you're strong enough to succeed at anything you ever set your mind to. Hey, but you're still in a ghost house. What if someone heard this? What if they know you're here?
Good technique.
No, it's not that. It's the stale smell of rubber, the squeaky sound of sneakers, a memory from another life. When you were...
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome.
Hi, Ace Detective.
This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. There's also a right...
Indeed. Something about that book does seem to have spoken to you. Well, I hope it contains what you're looking for.
Several the maps look old and... Shelves full of biographies of famous people who have... Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word. A twinge at the back of your head makes you flinch. Your eye starts twitching. Your hand reaches toward a book with glossy cover art of the very muscular man from Heimdall in chains, kneeling in front of a staircase leading to a throne. A woman sits on the throne, leering at the man. She's laughing at him, belittling him. Between the throne and the Heimdall man lies a bonfire, casting shadows on the wall. The shadow of the woman's headdress looks like a pair of devil horns. The title reads, Man from here, especially those leering types who seem to wear nothing but an armored bikini. There's also some sort of a snake lizard beast slithering around her abdomen, chest, shoulder region. It's symbolic of vice and sin. The display rack before you is burdened under piles of Man from Heimdall novels.
Give me a moment.
Officer, care to play a game with the lonely old man? Actually, never mind. Wouldn't be the same. The prick is gone. I can barely believe it, but he's really gone.
He is trying to retain his jolly facade, but the underlying sadness casts a deep shadow over his wrinkled face.
Yes, in peace. Oh, sorry, officer.
Host Almighty. He's a total bummer now.
Officer, I just can't do this right now. The Union, it just doesn't matter anymore.
For something, Hunt? Come to tell me to fuck off again? Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some car. The strike? Apples. Yeah, apples.
He's given you the runaround. Let's be honest, you were bested.
It's not...
Change the topic. The way he says it makes it almost sound like a threat.
I'm not people who've studied these things said...
Oh?
Go right ahead.
Lieutenant Kisaragi's stern expression remains. Not a lot of moral fiber on this one yet. What happened? Did your balls shrivel up? You had plenty of chances to get off this road, but...
it's not...
Change the topic. The way he says it makes it almost sound...
I'm not just. People who've studied these things say that you and me are superior by design. So, naturally, we Occidentals should be in...
Oh?
Don't push...
The tear machine your bottles clunk into the machine.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Sure thing. Sure, man.
The trap is full of poor thing.
The sea's gonna come. You're back.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? Nay. I haven't seen anyone lately. This is my little cinder block town. I know what goes on around here.
She's being evasive. She knows something.
There was a murder in Martinez. She might be a suspect. We would appreciate your help.
Would you now? I know how this world works, and it doesn't work when people tell on each other. Ah, I should have known. This is yet another union mess. I'm not afraid of them, you know. We are not in the habit of being afraid around here.
Enough of this. She'd better start talking right now.
This ship? I'm not going to do your work for you just because you got a potty mouth.
I see, man. I hope you don't mind if we look around anyway.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him.
What bad people?
I don't think questioning 4-year-olds without their parents present is going to crack the case.
Then we're definitely doing it.
Hello, mister. Luby. Raluby. My mom tells me I'm a big girl, but she doesn't know that I can't say Earl. Or like...
Kids.
Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. Bye.
Is that the phasmid? It looks like the phasmid, leaning against the wall. It's not the phasmid. It's not even organic. It's a fire iron. How disappointing. Don't be too hard on yourself. You couldn't have known that for sure. And, besides, finding this phasmid is your special destiny. You can feel it.
Tequila Sunset. Can't really remember seeing any women after losing my keys.
It's a touchy topic. He hasn't got laid in ages. He really has no idea who this Ruby is, sire.
Uncle.
There's no waking him from...
The legend! He's...
Hello. Isn't this a fine morning? No, I'm afraid I can't help you with this one, officer. It's just a regular day off for me and Mikhail here.
So you haven't seen anyone around?
No, I'm sorry. As I said, this is just a day off. We just arrived anyway.
There's something friendly and familiar in how he says that. A day off. You see, a slogan used to intertwine with the loop.
Looks like tomorrow never.
You pick up the handset. There's a tone. The machine is operable. Calling, 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 still calling, still calling.
Stop calling me, man. I'll get you your money, alright? I just need till tonight. Let me work. This. Hey! You're not Tethys.
Disconnect tone.
Hey man, it's good to see you. Goodbye. Good morning. Yeah, hardcore. No one can find us.
Yes, what is it? What? No, no one's suspicious around here.
She has not seen her, sire. It is true.
Good morning. Yeah. Yo, man. What's...
Welcome back. No,
Just no?
it's pretty desolate here. I only hear the dogs bark at night and see the shadows move down the coast. Exactly. It's our chance to turn the grim desolation into an overwhelmingly fun dance party.
Oh, hey man, it's good to see you. Goodbye, officer. Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
You close your eyes and vacate your skull, leaving your brain to wonder, where did that little fluttering light go?
Total darkness. You sink down the darkest fathoms of your own personal deep. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Here it will begin.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every vertebrae in your spine is an unformed skull ready to pop up and replace the old one. Like shark teeth. The one you're currently in has a little brain for me to rule the world. I am the spinal cord.
From what I can see, it's about to bust a move. Who fucking cares? No, not orgasme. Oh, don't worry. The music's still there. It's you who is gone. Nothing. Just the immaculate silence of your spinal fluid.
Foolhardy! Do you even know what's happening on the surface? Maybe
With your eyes still closed, the first thing you feel, all the way back in the pivoting darkness of your own torso, is warmth. You have become a triumph of rhythmoplastics, somewhere in a smelly wooden church on the coast of Revachol. The wounds from the war, as you open your eyes, you should scream, hyper, hyper. It seems appropriate. You have become a flawless interlocking mechanism, a flesh and bone approximation of the throb coming from the speaker setup of the one called Eggheads, entirely, rigidly imbecilic, without free from self-awareness, no deliberation, only, and I mean only.
Oh my god! No way!
With his reel-to-reel mixer blasting the anthem of a future that will never come, the young man observes. He throws a screwdriver and a bunch of drill chucks into the corner and explodes into dance. What he lacks in sharpness, he more than makes up for in violent enthusiasm. The young woman lifts her headphones up slightly and raises her chin. Look.
Asil, aren't you going to dance? No, recording.
The lead programmer throws the other young woman a knowing glance before turning her attention back to her own work. She's still at her mainframe, pressing buttons. but she started popping her head along to the music. The young man immediately bounces up and down, then assumes the same dance pattern. The authority of the law is clearly unquestionable.
What's going on here? Delinquents.
The lieutenant squeezes the bridge of his nose. The light reflects off his glasses, giving him the appearance of a surgeon in that he's having trouble adjusting to the new reality before him.
What's happening? Good for you. Rock on, then. What?
Who's the one in charge? You are.
Are you kidding me? What? Get the what?
Sheesh, okay.
Okay, you psychopath. I see what you're doing there. It's jacked up footwork, plus is that Ubi folk dancing?
Nah, it's not Ubi folk. It's hardcore.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah? I did 15 years in the juvenile crime unit. I can do age inappropriate. Now, check this shit out.
The lieutenant begins to heel kick the church floor with such intensity, it's reasonable to fear he'll kick a hole right through it, causing the floor to crack and the pillars to collapse, bringing the church roof down on all of you. It doesn't look like he'd give a shit either. The dynamic motion of your flailing body is bordering on the extreme. You're going off the charts. You feel as if turning on the hyperdrive would be a point of no return. Feels almost melancholy. Are you sure you have the entire posse around for this?
Here we go again. Hardcore filthy air. The sound above my head.
The what now? The sound above your what?
Above my hair, man.
Okay, this is too imbecile. Excuse me.
Music pounds through the hall of an old stave church on the coast of Martinaise. Several figures are lost in the beats. Their bodies pull this way and that by sound. One of them, an officer of the RCM, suddenly stops. He appears disoriented, then starts shaking violently, no longer in rhythm with the music.
The beast that you had all fired up just a moment ago seemed overwhelming. Nothing. inside a dizzying feeling of déjà vu. Then everything goes silent. Could be. It was almost like the utter unpleasantness of the experience was breaking through the barrier of your... Not sure, but it's definitely not a normal dance floor experience. There's something serious. You'll lay here in complete darkness for a while. Far away. Then consciousness will slowly begin to... But you already know. It rarely is.
Waking up, you see the lieutenant talking to the young people, a worried look on his face.
I've seen this thing happen before to people partying too hard.
It looks pretty dangerous, though.
Nah, man, don't worry. He's mainly dehydrated. It's a regular party reaction, yeah? Look! He's awake!
What happened? Are you feeling alright?
Give him a moment. See? This is why you need distilled water.
When exactly did you lose consciousness? When you started shaking or when you were already on the ground?
30 minutes or so.
Nah, you just raved too hard. The beat gets so hard, you know, and you were rolling super hard on it.
Has anything like this happened to you before?
With the moves you've got on you, I don't doubt it.
It very well could be that something similar happened the night you lost your memory. Can you stand?
You might be imagining it, but it feels like Egghead turned the volume down. Such is his respect.
Man! Now, man! Now imagine if we could do that, right? But with like 1,000 people. End of human development. Mission complete. All right.
You're absolutely beat. Muscles relaxed and feet like noodles underneath.
Goodbye, officer.
Anna Van Eyck. Okay, so Egghead is clearly not Van Eyck in disguise. Van Eyck is an Oranese disc jockey, but those people get around, especially in Revachol, in the clubs on Boogie Street. Perhaps he stayed here for a short stint and discarded part of the song he was working on. Just threw it away. And then it ended up in the Hawthorn tree. But why? Did he think it was retrograde?
No one can
It
find
wasn't.
us here.
Perhaps he caught a glimpse of the future and did not want for it to arrive just yet. Perhaps the city whispered the top line to him and he was frightened by it.
Hard cop.
Yo, man, what's on your mind?
Yes, what is it?
The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious...
doesn't have good enough ears. Let me turn it up so we can lure him here.
An old door. Just dead, poor thing. A few locusts trudge along the wall of the trap. Pause. The dome-shaped plastic box. The trap is paused. Scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from a row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement. "10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles prime. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. The morning sun rises beyond the horizon, radiating the first light of the day. The order was carried out at dawn. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them. Comrades, the forsaken, the wretched, who tried to rise against the horrors of the world. Seven men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? Men of duty, dark duty. Murderers, twisted by orders, young boys forced into killing. The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air. The lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces. Another likely scenario.
Or maybe...
Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was the commandant, the superior giving the orders.
cold sea wind blows away the figures. Behind this building, the other one, once filled with engineers and designers of Feld Electric, now collapsed and dead, but for some rats. You feel drawn, for some reason, to the... A row of ghostly shades facing a crumbling wall, with another 7 shades, a cold behind this...
Hello. Isn't this...
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up, just us. This is...
The place is so pornographic. She nods.
Ay, the sea's gonna...
You're back. Good.
Tequila Sunset.
our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. Me? No one. Now it's your turn, Mr. What a handle you got there. So many titles.
She's got a couple of ranks herself. Honored chief and so on.
Just us. It's bad. This is pretty much a known place.
The place is so pornographically poor, it's not even funny.
Well, there's Lillian and her kids. A few new folks live in the house to the east, but they're away right now. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Lillian is tough. I'm sure you did.
Relax, you're not a new face. She doesn't mean you. You're an outsider. And she nods, rinsing and...
Yes?
The worn and beaten wooden platform. We... The scruffy-haired little... You see that seagull up there? Remind you of anybody? You and the seagull are just alike. Think about the seagull's story. It's one of endurance and adaptation. The seaside, then their paradise became Shit City. And what did they do? They became urban survivors, eating burgers out of trash cans. No time for that sentimental bullshit. They're hustlers, getting shit done. They're one pair of track pants away from gangsters, just like you. You have. The body remembers. Own it. Steal hot dogs. Shit in the sand. Whatever it takes to keep going.
Hello. I do have some...
He's not gonna give you money. What are you doing? Clearly...
Of course, Detective. I don't know if... If not, then you definitely should. I do have some...
He's not gonna give you money.
Of course, Detective. I don't know if... If not, then you definitely...
There's no way the perk is in here, officer. Look how scarred the boards are. All attempts to pry them off have failed. Not this time. The opposition is insurmountable, but I like the spirit. Have some points. It's lonely and cold and dangerous. Dangerous too.
The suspect? God, I hope not. I can't see a way in, though many have tried.
You see, a slogan.
Mister, what were you doing in my fireplace? Oh, okay. Bye! Hello, mister. Bye!
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the...
old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, such as it is, without the expression. An old mirror hangs on the wall. Like the rest of you, it comes from a bad place somewhere in the past. As you look at the floorboards in this corner of the shack, it's clear one of them isn't quite level. In time, dust will settle upon the wooden board. A brisk coastal wind still howls against the window of the shack. Occasionally, the waves crawl in under the foundation. The room feels muffled, like you pulled your hat over your ears. Outside, it is cold and windy, but you're inside, and it feels safe and warm.
What is this place to you?
Waves crash onto the beach, drowning the reeds. Far to the south, a congregation gathers to a soup kitchen in a shelter for the home. Far to the southeast, 2 men and a woman dress themselves in ceramic armor. A shortwave radio hisses on the windowsill. One makes a salute. The other, a middle-aged man, stands in a rundown shack on the edge of a fishing village. Nothing nods. No one salutes him. No sight of the fugitive. Who are you talking to? There is no one here, not even cold. Outside, the howl of the wind has picked up. The waves crash against the stilts again.
Look under the floorboards.
As you look at the floorboards, in this hollow space underneath the floorboards is dark and damp. You can barely make out the mixture of sand and sawdust below. Nothing particular catches your eye. Looks like more reeds. There might be something bad. Someone's night thoughts. A last resort. A bad idea. You stick your hand in and start combing through the sand. Dry, not like outside. Fine dust. And then, something hard wrapped in paper. A small cylindrical object. You pull it out. A bullet. The floorboard doesn't care. But maybe the washerwoman does. You have enough to confront her with. It's extra ammunition. She's locked and loaded, ready to fight some cops. Holding the bullet, you get the feeling this isn't ammunition against you. It's for herself.
tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? Damn that girl.
And without anger, a long and harsh life has taught her not to buckle under pressure.
But you didn't put it there, did you? She did.
Gone and hid things in there? She's usually a good tenant, and not a stupid one either. Yes, I let my room to that Ruby girl. As I've done before when she's been in trouble or just looking for solitude. I've made it clear. We welcome all kinds of people here. She came last Friday, left on Monday in a hurry. What has she gotten herself into, that girl?
She seems genuinely worried about her previous tenant. She's seen her hiding out from trouble before, but this seems different.
That's for the police to find out. Right then, please answer each question to the best of your ability. I'm sure we have a few.
Yes, early with the dogs, around 8 o'clock, I think. I cleaned it, like I always do. No. She's good company, knows how to talk to an old woman. At my age, you don't get a lot of quality conversation, so I really appreciate that about her.
This Ruby is an old lady whisperer. She knows how to work the village elder, unlike you.
Did she talk to you much during her last stay?
No, she was mostly silent this time, kept to herself. She tried not to let it show, but I could tell she hadn't come to fish. Usually she likes to cast a few lines, but this time she mostly stayed in her room.
She wanted to talk to her, as they usually do, but she was brooding.
How would I know? She's a gruff one, but not violent. She doesn't go around toting a gun.
You could ask her about your hunch, that it was a desperate measure. See if she thinks Ruby fits the bill.
Aye. Do tell. Exit from what?
The lieutenant stops writing for a moment. He looks at you, then at the old woman.
No, she's a fighter.
Not a quitter, like you sometimes get, son.
How would I?
You could ask her about...
Aye. Do tell. Exit from what?
The lieutenant...
No, she's a fighter.
Not a quitter, like you sometimes get, son.
How would...
You could...
Aye. Exit from...
The lieutenant...
No.
Not a quitter, like you sometimes get, son.
Nothing of the sort. Sure, she was no stranger to the bottle. She fit in that way. But I only knew her to have a beer on the beach while watching the sunset.
The sun sets for everyone.
She isn't what you'd call a drunk. Even offered me some from time to time. Said it was part of the communal life. But I never saw her lose control of herself, the way some people do. Not that I know of, though she was into nice music. She once showed me a few mixtape milieux she'd made. Although I guess she was pretty handy with the mechanical and technical stuff. Even fixed the heater in the shack. You should be thankful for that. I don't know. Further up the coast, she tried to leave quietly, but the hinges on that door screeched like a cat in heat. Woke me up. I heard her rushing in those heavy boots, heading up north. You'll never find her, you know. She knows the coast like the back of her hand. You only just arrived.
I wouldn't worry about that, ma'am. We are persistent.
Are you sure you would rather stay here? Get a nice cozy fire going in the heater? Seems like a better idea to me.
The felled electric mural. You feel like you should go look at it again. Step closer this time.
What more do you want to know about that project? Yes, let's say one thing, officer. If you do find her, please go easy on her.
She really means it. It's an honest plea.
She's a good girl. Whatever she's gotten herself mixed up in.
Hello. Isn't...
You see, a once bright mural, a slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall, and the coastal breeze rustling and sighing in the remains of the edifice. Felled electrical. How ironic. All these dark rooms. There's something in the wind. Sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first. Indeed, somehow you knew it was here. An urban ruin gutted by looters that once used to consume money and dispense warmth and light. You felt it before, when it rained in Martinez, and you felt the cold of the rain. The feeling persists. It has been in you ever since.
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical room over there, or in that boat shack. In that church tower, maybe.
Even though you're sure you succeeded, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down. The ruin in front of you is silent as a tomb. Trying to talk to the wind, the city, whatever you thought would happen did not, and now you're just standing there in the pale of the morning. with your hands fallen to your side. A prayer of sorts to Revachol.
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village. Okay. She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We already scanned most of the outdoor areas on our wild cryptid hunt, so we have an understanding of the geography, at least. And then there's the church. We've already searched that and can rule it out. I know it doesn't feel like progress, but exclusion is a step too. Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village. Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, storm drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. You can always come back here and talk to the wind again. Look where it already got you. Buckle up and raise your collar. This search is going to be wet and cold. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it. In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs, and then the beach below the boardwalk, its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
She's down there.
Okay, why? Right. How do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically. Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
There has to be a way to use brute force. Climbing sounds unsafe. Brute force is safe. Look around and find something to break if the ladder fails. A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground, and you're 180? Okay, but still, the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection. Be open-minded about this.
Teleportation is not a thing. This really has nothing to do with adventure. We are dealing with basic physics here. Oh yes, it could hurt. A lot.
He is restraining himself from using a parental tone with you right now.
Hello. Isn't this a fine morning? How to climb that ladder, you see? I do know that Lomantangs used sticks to climb battlements. There's even a special technique for that. Then there's also the method of climbing that the ancient Ilmarans used to get into the huts of their enemies. If I'm not mistaken, then it involved months of following a very rigid exercise regimen. No, years. In this case, I suggest looking into the Zeolite Invisibles class. The word refers to their remarkable ability to traverse any environment in the most efficient way possible. There's this excellent investigative piece of journalism by... Yes, I have. There was this one time where I...
Oh no, you've made El Bigo Mistako. He's going to go on forever.
Alternative? I don't even have a mainstream way in, I'm afraid, although... There's a sewage pipe there. Maybe that does something? Sorry, I can't help more.
Pipes can be broken with force. An old pipe peeks out from beneath the rotten boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the fell building? Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. An ordinary drainage pipe. Darkness. As your eyes adjust, you see some trash. Crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts. Someone has half-heartedly spray-painted and nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around...
Oh, duh. Why didn't you think of that? The lieutenant's face lights up. He doesn't usually notice these little things.
And it's right here, a maintenance door.
Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back into it. Behind the pipe, the maintenance door, rusted shut. You and the lieutenant lean all your weight into pushing the doors apart, but you're not quite synchronizing your efforts. They slam shut again before you can enter.
Let's take a breather and try this again later. It's very tough.
Behind. Behind the pike, the metal doors are heavy and the flaking rust hurts your palms. But together with the lieutenant, you manage to slide them open just enough to squeeze in.
Good work. Shall we? This isn't just glass. These are old computation components. Yes, filament memories. From the time when wires were cast in glass, slides with an inlaid nervous system. The how was a closely guarded secret. Something that was locked in safes in human heads across the river where they were manufactured. As to why, your finger... So it is. I think it is used to form a single system, slotted in the wall. The rest of the building seems to have been picked clean. These? No. These are old filament memories. I hope you're not expecting to find a device here.
All you will find here is pain. mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. The plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spider web in the lower left corner of the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand. Hands sweep across the sand. Grains stick into the frayed skin of the fingertips. An old man sits on a slab of concrete and taps his fingers against the glass of a scope. You shut.
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago. Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers. I won't stand in your way, but only after we're through with this case. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
There it is again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. No, but you are the sensitive one.
He trusts your gut feeling on this.
Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
You're right. However corrupt he may be, nothing happens in Martinez without him knowing. We might have to dirty our hands, but...
In this case, we can't afford to be squeaky clean.
Yes, there won't be time for that once things go down. Matter of fact, I don't think there's time for it now, but...
If you must.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
Let's try not to worry, he thinks.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise. Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain, like you've never felt it before. Through the static, you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once. But her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse. Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
The voice coming through the whirlwind of pain is not malicious. She doesn't want to hurt you, but she has to. Doesn't wish to hurt you, not according to your ear canals. Wait, no, not even your ear canals. This is going directly into your neural pathways. That's an awful decision. Why would you not want to shield yourself from it? It's an entirely new type of experience. Way worse than all the previous ones. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on doing your job. Tell her she's under arrest.
Really now? Check this out.
You're overwhelmed with a new surge of violent static. It feels like a blood vessel exploded in your brain.
No, I'm not going to fucking kill you. If that had been my plan, you'd be dead already. All things considered, I'm being pretty reasonable here. I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
Blasted from that pale emitter that Angus mentioned.
Saw my equations? You've been sniffing through my lorry, right? I expected as much. I am a bit surprised you knew what you were looking at.
You should probably check on Kim. That's what good partners do.
Right behind you, officer.
A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pale, literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the pale, people lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for pale latitude compression. That's why you may be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, and you just might get an opportunity to break you loose.
The Pale? It's the end of the world. I built it myself.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Way beyond. No. Once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like waking out of a very confusing dream.
3,
Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. It seemed like the ethical thing to do. Can't say that I enjoyed it. The field was weaker, but I can imagine what you're going through. Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it. If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
Turn this.
God damn it. Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
She's carrying a 2-barrel front loader. Remain careful. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but you can form sentences now. Thinking doesn't seem to hurt as much. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this.
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while. So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised.
Her tone is bitter. She thinks she's been betrayed.
So nice. That's one knife I didn't want to find in my back. I was, before I caught you in the pale latitude compressor. I'm fine now.
It was dark in the shack. The waves outside had calmed down. She looked at the loaded gun. Then she cracked the barrel open and took the bullet out. Not today.
No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes much of a difference to you. Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No, he wouldn't have broken first. Well, I guess I always knew she was a survivor above all else. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me?
Titus and his boys, man. He told us you were on the coast.
Even now, Kim is a paragon of professionalism. He is trying to make a clean cut of telling her she was betrayed.
Well, fuck. Those guys liked me, I know it. If this is what happens to people whom people like...
A dull despair is creeping into her voice.
How the fuck did the rest of you get by? I did, didn't I? Now you've come for me. Fuck them all the same.
That did make her forgive them a little.
Like what? I already told you I didn't do it. I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. You think I was envious of his conquests? Look, pussy's not a problem for me. And definitely not a reason to off someone.
See her confident gaze, her toned arms. Yeah, she wouldn't have had much trouble in the intimacy.
Plenty of broken people who don't come with that kind of body count. Besides, they're paid well for what they do. Yeah, sure. And I didn't like Wild Pines sending in those foreign hirelings. Me and a fuck ton of other people around here.
She didn't hate him, okay?
I'm listening. Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon me. Yeah, and I'm sure they also made some funny remarks about it. They always do. I've driven a lot of long haul and chugged a lot of beer, man. Can't do either without some power of mind over bladder. And anyway, that wouldn't have been enough time. Look, fuck you, man. I might also have stopped by the bar. Wow, now I'm curious. Please, explain. No, not since I was 14 and hanging out in the only diner in Dardun. Haven't been into low-risk, no-reward games since moving to the city. Why? Yeah, and probably some ghosts from the time of the suzerain. I'm not really interested in supernatural mysteries. Not murder mysteries either, if that's what you're thinking.
She looks you in the eye impassively, making it clear that she's not planning to comment on the matter any further.
The fuck do elevators have to do with everything? Not particularly. Why are you so hung up on elevators? I'm not really into old shit for old shit's sake.
God damn it!
Don't know it, but also... the shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it downstairs.
She has a point there. No one mentioned.
That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her.
And? The gun store. Trigger Happy Jacks. What did you think? That I'm going to squeal on my gun supplier? Sorry, I'm not that kind of gal. Sure don't.
A breech loader?
No.
This is such a wipeout.
A Nachtway 80 front loader. 2 barrels. Not really what you were looking for, I'm guessing. Yeah, evidence. I considered her a good friend, yeah. Oh, so that's where you were going with this. That's a very sentimental way of putting it. We both had pasts we didn't want to catch up with us, and we enjoyed listening to music together. Why not go on a road trip?
The lieutenant watches her expectantly, occasionally shaking from the pain.
Okay, fine. I was into her. Clausy was into me too for a time, I know it. We even fooled around once. And yeah, after that I thought maybe we could make a go of it. She does know how to pick 'em. She rejected me with some wishy-washy bullshit about how she was confused because she felt so close to me and valued my friendship so much, and how guilty she felt for leading me on. I knew that wasn't the whole story, but thought, fine, I'll take it, move on.
No ill will there. It wasn't a problem for her.
Wow. Pissing, pinball, and now peeping. I'm just not following your insinuations, Detective. Look, I'm not aware of any hole in Claudia's wall. And if I had been, I would have told her to get it sealed. That's what friends do. Nope. Look, she has an effect on people. That je ne sais quoi that makes it impossible not to look at her when she walks into the room, and very difficult to look away. But travel enough and you realize, for the same reason that she's everyone's type as an object of desire, she's not irreplaceable. What the hell, man? Yeah, why not? I've gotten worse. Yeah, one time when we'd both been drinking, I said some heated things about how dangerous her patterns with men were. I was a little worried she'd blow it out of proportion in her head. All the drugs she was doing can make you feel like you're living in a DeLorean tragedy. Yeah, the girl seemed terrified. The merc was beyond caring what happened to his mortal coil. It was a no-brainer. Go ahead. It's your body.
And mine too, he thinks. But keep on. This must be done.
Who doesn't? Oh, you probably mean Claudia's rooftop. Sure, I've hung out there. She's got this great antenna. The view's pretty bomb, too. But you might say the antenna was the main attraction there, yeah. It's very powerful. I used it to tune into RCM frequencies. That's how I knew to be prepared for your arrival. Yes, I'm sure. And anyway, as I said before, the shot had to have come from afar. No. Gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style. So now I'm leaving revolutionary symbols around? Come on. I never did understand why, when someone dies, a hothouse's worth of flowers has to die too. No, I did not. So, Heart of Gold Tommy fucked me over too. Never trust a musician.
That really comes as a blow to her.
Okay, great. You got into my lorry on your own. What now? You're going to arrest me for drug trafficking?
Beneath it, she's relieved Tommy didn't betray her.
No. Gifts of flowers and candy aren't really my style. I got lucky being a dispatcher. Never had to do any of the really dirty work myself. This gun has only been used for self-defense against serious scum.
There, it's going to be easier to reach the machine now.
Based on what I've heard about you, you are serious scum.
There's a sinister note in her voice. Even with the gun and the compressor, she's afraid of you.
Yeah? Where?
More questions before doing anything.
How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio.
Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez.
Police radio? You've been following the case?
Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Claus's room, lying on his side. He was still warm, but the bluish light coming through the broken window made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while.
She eyes you warily, as though gauging your sincerity. She's refusing to adopt the demeanor of a cornered animal, a leader with no one to lead. She still wants to retain some control of the situation.
It's okay. We just want to...
All right, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Hardy and the boys over a few beers, like always. Then Klasha comes in, all pale and shuddering. She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves. So I grab a seat next to her. Oh yeah, super. But I didn't think too much of it at first. I'd seen her party hard before.
This woman has seen people OD. Glacia wasn't quite there yet, so why worry?
No, I really didn't. She's not that easy to read. I just assumed she'd done too much blow. It wouldn't be a first for her. But no such luck. She was in some deep shit. She asked me to come upstairs. The merc she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor, dead. I knew she couldn't get the authorities involved, so yeah.
You made it look like he'd been hanged.
What? No. Faking a lynching was her idea.
She looks shaken. She wasn't surprised to be ratted out, but framed.
Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone. She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck to fake lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to get the party boys.
Glacia knew exactly what she was doing. You can't remain calm under pressure otherwise.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs. No gunshot, nothing.
But even if this is true, weren't you worried this lynching might lead to
War? The thought crossed my mind. But the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going... fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me. I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn La Puta Madre agent.
That strange, distant fear is getting close now. It's a fear of yourself.
Yes, you. Everyone says you're his peon, his human can opener.
Oh, fucking hell.
Fucking hell. And why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded.
Everyone in Jamrock, the cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for me? Is that a joke or a threat? I'm guessing both. Yeah, sure.
She doesn't believe you.
I'm sure La Puta Madre himself will explain it all to you soon enough. You've been to my lorry. You think the biggest player in Jamrock appreciates competition? Now I have Harry Can Opener in my lair. Fucking Titus.
She's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat.
What bunker? Don't know anything about it. No one's been around since I set up camp. And I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to...
I'm going to be sent to you.
The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but...
All good, officer. Be careful.
She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it. Problem solving.
Ma'am, put the gun down. That's not the solution to your problems. You are...
Oh, yes it is.
She's truly desperate. She thinks she has no other options. You need to give her options. You know. This is how you talk her out of it. It's the only scenario in which she lives. She pulls the trigger before you finish your sentence. You watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Fuck.
Get a hold of yourself. He needs your support now, too.
Lieutenant Yefreitor Dubois, control your emotions. We did our job. This won't be the worst thing that happens on this case, believe me. You can't let this break you.
There is no coming back from this one. It will stay with you in nightmares.
We are cops. Everything is our fault, if we let it be. Our job. It went really bad. And now we need to clean it up.
She died. How can he be so cold?
We clean up. It may take days for processing to pick up her body. We need to move it somewhere. That tent there.